everybody. It's Kiss and Tell time again. Hi, I'm Dr. Jenny, CEO and founder of KissandTellMagazine.com. And our guest tonight is Wanda Cotie. She developed a wonderful product called the Femme Flexor uh, for your pelvic floor muscles. Welcome, Wanda.
Thank you, Dr. Jenny. Hi, and thanks for having me on today. I guess we were talking about how hot the weather is there. So we're having an unusually hot spell in Canada as well. So you're probably almost as hot as you are.
Yeah.
So we can,
I'm in Florida, so we're in the 90s. So yeah.
We're in the night. We've been up there the last few weeks as well. So it's very unusual that we're as warm as you in Florida. So indeed. So thanks for having me on. I guess we're going to talk about the pelvic floor today, and I guess as far as a product is concerned, the pelvic floor is a group of muscles, and a lot of people ask, what is the pelvic floor and what's it used for? And it is a group of muscles, and it acts like a hammock, and it holds all of your organs up and keeps them where they should be, so that everything can pass through carefully and enter carefully and exit carefully as well, or gently as well. So sometimes as life goes on, you get a little movement, and you might have a baby, and you might have a fall, and you might have a car accident, you might have this or that. There's a lot of reasons why your pelvic floor could be moved about a little bit, and at that point you might find yourself with some pelvic organ prolapse. And that's what we did, is designed a new type of product for the pelvic floor.
Tell me the story of how it got started.
Well, the one thing I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a medical professional. So I own something called Wicked Wandas. I've been in the adult business for about 25 years now. I own a forward-thinking, female-owned business, and I can't believe my dryer is going off. Please ignore it. So I own a business in Canada called Wicked Wandas, and it is a big, fun, forward-thinking adult store. So I was of the first stores to decide not to rent pornography in my store and not to have a typical store. So we've always been kind of towards some of the products that can bring you some pleasure and healing at the same time. So that's kind of where we drew a different line as far as adult stores. And I operate that store with my daughter at this point now. She's been with me for the last 10 years. So together we conquer some things. And so over those years, I've had access to pretty much every product you could imagine. And I'm also a mother and a grandmother this year, but I'm a mother of 3 grown women, and I went through some pretty extreme pelvic floor prolapse issues. There's a lot of things that can happen when your pelvic floor is weak. It could be things like backaches. It can cause all kinds of other things. It's not just leakage. There's a lot of other issues that come along when you have a weakened pelvic floor. So like many people, I went to a doctor and said, hey, what can I do for all these things? And back then, everybody was told just to do a Kegel. Just a Kegel will fix everything. Kegel, Kegel, Kegel. So as much as our product is to work with when you are told to Kegel, I really started to understand the different issues that we're having. So as a product design person, so I actually do create other adult products over my career. In my mind, I thought, oh, this Kegel ball that I can buy. If you've seen a Kegel ball, they're round, they're heavy, they're weighted. And I also like to work out in a gym. So I understand the idea of muscle tone and maybe how I would use a Pilates band to exercise as opposed to trying to lift a heavy weight. So in my mind, when trying a Kegel balls and trying things that would help my pelvic floor, or try to help my pelvic floor, I really went through all of these products. And so I tried them all myself. And they were uncomfortable, ineffective, and almost insulting in a certain way. Things were basically a ball bearing covered in a little bit of plastic or whatever, and that's going to help you. So trying to squeeze something around and use these muscles, you're trying to hold this ball in, it's pulling down. And I still thought, oh, these muscles, instead of this heavy weight, let's see what we could do. So I had the idea of a Pilates band, and I set out to start designing something. So I met somebody. So I have another life, as you know. I run a business, and I do work with adults, and I would help people find events and go and find adult things to do. So this gentleman came to me one time, and he said, if you are trying to help somebody find an event, he says, I do body sculpting. He says, I'm a silicone specialist. He came from Brazil, really lovely young man. And he's like, he's trying to get work and whatnot. And he's like, oh, I could come in and I could sculpt some breasts, or I could sculpt a belly for a pregnant person, or I can even sculpt somebody's parts, right? So we got along kind of famously in that he actually created a product where people could take a capture of their own penis. Could I say that?
Yeah.
Okay, can I say that on here? Okay. So he created a different type of there's a kit called a Clone-A-Willy on the market, but it's not very good. So this guy was like, oh, I've created this way better thing, and he's like, oh, you got to have this in your store and whatnot. So anyways, we became friends, and I said to him one night, I said, hey, could you like sculpt this product for me? I have this idea, and I'm sketching it out for him. And he says, yeah, he says, I think I could do that for you. And I said, oh man, I said, but it's really difficult for me to figure out, because I said, I understand the size of a vagina. I have a lot of products I've utilized. So I'm like, okay, I think it should be in this size, blah, blah, blah. But I said, I'm not sure how we're going to get this Pilates, this squeeze out of it. And he says to me, he says, my wife is a pelvic floor therapist.
Nice.
And they had both just came to Canada. He had just become a Canadian citizen. And here these young couple, and they're trying to make their way back. And they're just wonderful people. And Sylvia is involved as our chief medical person at the company. And so she still works with a group out of Ottawa called Femme Made. This is a women's group. It's a physiotherapy clinic, and they target in particular women born with a vulva. They take care of our pain issues. So that's a really cool clinic, and they carry the Femme Flexor. So I created the Femme Flexor with the help of a physiotherapist who helped me get the right squeeze out of it. So we didn't want to hurt anybody, and we also didn't want it to do nothing. So coming up with the right density was about a year of messing around with holds and stuff, and but finally we got close, and then we went forward, and the rest is history. So it's been an interesting journey bringing a product like that to the market. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like how it's designed. I like the fact that it is squishy. It's not, because some of the other ones, from my understanding, they seem to like intimidate you, putting them in there, like you would cause more problems.
Well, this is it. I'm saying you can't put a weight on an already stressed muscle to me, that didn't make sense.
Mhm.
Like I said, I won't go into my background of working out, but I've worked out in gyms since I was very young. So I understand muscles and the way that they work and the way they need to be uh, isolated, and they
Mhm.
need to be stimulated regularly. Those muscles are very hard to reach, and they're really hard to connect with. And so the Femme Flexor, to me, it does really help you Kegel, but it
Mhm.
also has a different approach to it when somebody has had maybe some discomfort with anything that's going to go into the vagina.
Right.
You might not want, there could be some trauma in their lives, and they find anything phallic looking is really going to turn them off, and they're going to shut down from that.
Right.
Um, so we have also utilized this as just kind of a connector. So
Mhm.
for somebody who's not feeling their self anymore, they're feeling a little bit tired. Where's those muscles? What happened to me? Where's my juicy a little bit? That
Mhm.
can that can really help, because those muscles need to be regularly utilized on a
Mhm.
consistent basis, 3 or 4 times a week, even. If you can keep your muscles moving, and I'm not saying to utilize it for more than, you can utilize this for 5 to 10 minutes at a time and just stop. Use it during your shower. But have moments that you're really intentional with it. I personally like it. I like it in the bathtub,
Mhm.
because it's very safe to have in the water like that. And
Mhm.
I can feel, and I kind of do my breathing. And if you use it kind of like a yoga breathing, and you use your pelvic tool at the same time, you'll feel an interesting feedback from your body. It's nice, and it does create some blood flow. So that's not a bad thing.
So when you use it in the bath, you're not using it with soap,
No,
correct? Uh-huh.
no, no soap, no
Okay.
soap. No, I won't put any soap. Don't put soap in your vagina.
Uh,
It self cleanses, and you shouldn't use soap in your vagina. So we'll
yeah, I
just.
know that. I just wanted you to say it.
I'm sure you did. That's why I was like, no, let's jump on that. No, let's not put soap in our vagina. So, but you can utilize a good water-based lubricant even before you go in the bath. But I mean, I don't have a problem when I'm in the water. It's quite easy for me to insert, because I'm quite relaxed. But it's something you have to get used to. The first time you utilize the product, it's you're going to feel a little bit, you just can feel full, I guess, is the first sensation. But after a couple of minutes in the breathing, you can actually forget it's there. And I've had times that I don't sell it for people to walk around in at this
Mhm.
point, because I haven't done the studies to back up whether or not it has some effects of pessary. Um,
Mhm.
but we've had some feedback from women saying that when they do utilize it and they've gone to the grocery store, that they feel some extra control. And
Mhm.
so that's something we're going to look at down the road with some clinical studies. But for now, all we really want people to do is, when your doctor says you are able to do a Kegel, and let's even go past the doctor. Let's say a physiotherapist, because
Mhm.
really, if every person could see a pelvic floor therapist and have their bodies looked at and diagnosed, we'd all really benefit from it, because
Yeah.
there's different areas that you can be tighter and looser, and you can be tight and loose at the same time. So there's a lot of exercises that can really help. And as well, pelvic floor, if it's weakened, it's also not just the bladder that can leak. There's bowel leakage. There's all kinds of things that can happen in there that doesn't 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 constitute to feeling very sexy anymore in your life. So, you know,
Mhm.
trying to keep our insides working, and create a space where we can still find our pleasure zones at the same time. It's there's a few reasons why you want to do a Kegel. It's
Mhm.
it's not purely for the leak.
Right.
It's
Right.
so the exercise alone is important to have regularly,
Mhm.
right through our life. So,
Yeah, and it's another way of getting in touch with your body, because sometimes we forget that we think, oh, once we hit a certain age, we don't have to take care of ourselves anymore in that manner.
Right.
But
But we don't want,
that's
like,
not true.
right? I didn't want to be a diaper wearer personally. My mother wears diapers. She's 89, so she can wear diapers at this point. But
Mhm.
that's $3,000 a year on top of that.
Wow. I didn't
It's
know that.
it's an
Yeah.
incredible expense. It's incredibly bad for our environment. And I
Mhm.
think if it's something that we take into our own hands and we're like, hey, I'm going to take care of my vagina
Mhm.
because it's going to take me through my lifetime. There's no need to be a woman of 60 something that has atrophy unless you stop using it. And if you don't use it, you do lose it. It does get, you know, you can,
Right.
right? So
Mhm.
it's a really important area to keep. I call it juicy.
Right.
is
Right.
is it's the best word I can come up with. Keep everything working and everything happy. And I'm 55 now,
Mm.
um, and I started having problems in my 30s. I was a young mom. I had fibroids. I had fibroids and fibroids. I mean, I had years of problems, and finally, you know, I- finally I had back problems from it. I was supposed to have spinal surgery, and I said no. I'm quite sure it's because of these big fruit-like substances inside my uterus. I'm pretty
Right.
sure that's what's bothering my back. And doctors didn't want to listen to that. And I
Mhm.
said, no, we're not having back surgery until we deal with this.
Good
So
for you.
it just makes sense, right? All those
Mhm.
muscles, there's your muscles. This is being pulled on that. That's being pushed on here. I don't have to be a doctor to recognize that's that's a soup,
Right.
right? Right.
Mhm.
So, when you start recognizing uh, how our exercise can help maintain our bodies,
Mhm.
well, all of our body needs to exercise. So if you go to a gym and you lift a weight and you do that every day, well, not every day, every couple of days, you
Mhm.
lift that weight. After 12 weeks, you're going to have a stronger muscle there.
Mhm.
The pelvic floor exerciser is the same thing. The Femme Flexor is exactly that, and it's there to regularly remind you that this is a part of your body that needs to be nurtured and taken care of, and it's kind of our lifeblood. And when we stop working, a lot of things kind of fall apart. And I'm in menopause now, and I can guarantee you that if you keep using things,
Mhm.
without going too far into my discussion, if you can keep using this is not going to cause you a problem. You'll have great sex right into your old age.
Oh, yeah, you can have sex, until you're 90. I mean, however, in 91, you can have sex. It doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you're taking care of yourself.
And I'd say more than ever, I sell a lot of products to older people now. I have women in their 70s come in and buy their first vibrator regularly. Like
Yeah.
this is, and we have a discussion, and I'm like, I always use the analogy. Well, you have a remote control for your television. When's the
Right.
last time you walked across your TV and turned the dial to turn the channel, right? So,
Mhm.
technology created these things that allow for a RPM that's perfect for women and
Right.
and people with a vulva. I won't say,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and your product helps that. Because a lot of women that have any of the issues with their pelvic floor muscles, they stop wanting to be intimate. You
Well,
know,
it doesn't feel very sexy when you're like, here, I'm gonna go take my pad off. Like, it's not a very nice place to be at, and it's not necessary. And it happens openly to 1 in 3 younger women.
mm-hmm,
So after having babies, uh,
mm-hmm,
as you continue to age, that area starts to weaken and weaken. And by the time you're in your early 60s, late 50s, approximately 98.7, I think, percent of women or people with a vagina are
mm-hmm.
having issues, and that's not very funny. And
No,
it's pretty much as high for men as well,
mhm.
because we all have a pelvic floor, all of us, and it just is a matter of how the muscles are grouped. So it's important to look after that right through our lives.
Yeah.
Use your Femme Flexor. Use your Femme Flexor.
Yeah. Wait, let me put that back up there. Yeah. No. Yeah. It is. It's just why not enjoy intimacy, sex, masturbation, whatever it is that you need your whole life, instead of having, to wear diapers, unfortunately, for your mom. But your mom's case, more than likely, they didn't know what they know now.
They had no idea. And even now they're just starting. Like a pelvic floor therapist is almost, I send people all the time, go and have somebody take a look. If you have a good pelvic floor therapist, there's no reason. Like I belong to a bunch of groups, and I have a pelvic organ prolapse group, and I have women in their 30s and 40s. Like they're feeling awful. They can't have sex with their partner anymore. They're feeling really unsexy. They're leaking. I have people who are, I don't have a whole lot of feedback. Sorry about that. I just had my dog just ran by, and I was like, I totally lost you for a second. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. You're talking about women in the groups that in their 30s and 40s,
and they're saying, well, I don't want to have sex with my partner. I don't want even them to see me like this. And I feel so sad. They've just had a baby. You know how that feels. You already feel. I mean, I remember actually having the baby, and I don't know about you, but somehow I thought that bump was going to be gone. And I remember looking down, and I'm like, didn't I just have a baby? Like, where'd it go? And I still look 5 or 6 months pregnant. So, and you know that's going to be your reality for a while. But, society wants us to look great. And here we're going to this baby out, and we're going to still be sexy, and we're going to feel all this great. And it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure for young people to keep their partners happy as well. I will hedge to say that if I have a non-binary couple, that they're probably pretty helpful with each other. But I'm going to say a male and a female together, it's a lot of pressure on a young woman who's just had a baby to feel like she's going to be able to be the wife and the mother. And it's just, so just recognizing that this is going to get better, and babies grow up, and, life continues. And if you create a place for pleasure in your life, that's still sacred to you, then it's really important, to have it for yourself. And I think we always feel we need to share this with somebody else. And so, masturbation, having your own little special time. I can definitely say if you orgasm with the Femme Flexor in, it's a really interesting sensation. So feel free to grab a bullet with it. But having a place where it doesn't become a job. Like I know when I was a young mom, I came from a time where you took care of your partner and you took care of your kids, and the house had to be this way. I came from a pretty traditional time, right? And that just baffled me that I could even do that at that age. So I see young people, they kind of look, they're lost a little bit after they have a child, and they feel alone.
Well, it's another topic we don't talk about enough.
Yeah.
Who tells you about it? We talk about the baby and getting ready for the baby and buying all that and baby showers and all that fun stuff, but did we talk about intimate time after the baby?
Well, I was there's a discussion I had, and I brought it up on a women's group because I'm that person that's going to say something probably inappropriate at times. I'm going to get this, but I'm going to say something that people are going to react to. So I was with a women's group and I said, so remember after you had your baby, remember the first time you needed to have a bowel movement? And you recognize that time was coming and you were like, oh no, oh dear, oh, that's going to be really bad.
Mhm.
And we started, I just looked around this group and went, they laughed. Everybody started to laugh. It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a real moment, you know? So none of those things that nobody talked to you about.
Right. Right. Who educates you about that? Because you're supposed to be quiet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
And somehow by 6 weeks, you should be excited to have sex again.
Mhm. Yeah. And why would you be when you're still dealing with a baby that's crying all night?
That's right. Hanging up. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Great times. Great times. But,
mhm.
I guess what we all have in common is that we're all trying to get through life and still find something good for ourselves and enjoy our lives. And sex is a big part of it. It
Mhm.
just is. And if it isn't, it probably creates some issues in your life because, when that's not all running smoothly, people feel discontent. So,
They do when they don't feel connected in that manner. When they don't
mhm,
feel, it's not just about having intercourse, it's about the connection. And when you don't feel loved in that manner, in a sexual manner,
yeah.
it's hard. It's hard. It can be difficult.
It's hard for everybody because after
Mhm.
it comes, then it's really a difficult time for everyone, like for both parents
Yes,
or
yes,
those,
definitely.
yeah, it's a hard time for everybody. I know my daughter and her wife just had a baby, and that was a heck of a learning curve. And
Mhm.
I kind of thought, I wonder if two women should like nail this together, but they had their problems just like everybody else. So it's
Oh,
like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, yeah, certainly still the lost parent of what am I doing? What am I doing? And
Yeah,
what does this baby want from me exactly? So yeah,
yeah.
yeah, no, it's a wonderful time in our life, but we can get our bodies back and we can become that again. We can fight back and we can when your body is strong and it carries you, you feel good, and that's what it's here for. It's to get us through this world and yeah, take care of those parts.
Mhm. Well, thank you for your time tonight, Wanda. Um,
Thanks, Dr. Julie. Appreciate
Let
it.
me put your Femme Flexor, go visit the site, order the product,
Thank
um,
you.
and take care of yourself.
Thank you, and I'll talk to you again soon.
And I'll talk to everybody. Our next podcast is the 13th, September 13th at 7. And we're done for the night.
Thank you,
So,
Dr. Julie.
thank you again.